Welcome to another episode of Everybody's Got Something. I'm your host, Seth Hoffman. Today's special guest, we have Zhenya Novareign, erotic blueprint coach, creative entrepreneur, and Nick Furioustylz, musician, MC, producer, lyricist, songwriter, and curator. Let's get to it. Well, here we are, and what a joy. Zhenya, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to talk to you anytime, but I'm especially excited to hear your story, hear your journey, and hear about what you do. So maybe tell us a little bit. You do many things, but just get into it a little. Let's hear what is exciting for you. What are you creating?
Wow, so much. It's so good to catch up with you, Seth. I just want to say thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
And this is such a cool way to just catch up.
Yeah.
What am I really excited about? So I was saying earlier that I feel like truly that my soul came here just to experience so much.
And you say here, you mean like Earth?
Like on planet Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you ever feel like that? Like
Yes.
you're kind of watching yourself from up here somewhere?
I do. I feel like our time on Earth is sort of like a big mural we're painting. It's like, let's create something wonderful while we have the chance.
Yeah, and I've actually been reflecting on that a lot, like all of the years it took me to get to where I am, and it's like I'm working on this other part of the mural. So yeah, right now, some of my main passions, it's like kind of funny to start with this, but I am doing so much dance.
Yes.
In the past couple of years, I would consider that I've been in this like creative recovery process of just realizing like, I just want to create, and my soul wants to do that so much. So I've been painting, I've been dancing, and my work is pretty creative too. You know, I come from a background of like healing arts, and so I've always worked with people around their health, and I started to kind of see this theme where like so many people were having health issues that were like physical manifestations of them not actually doing like what they want to do.
Isn't that something?
It's something.
Yes.
It's definitely something.
People feel like, oh, I'm sacrificing for this, when really it's actually not helping anyone by repressing what wants to happen.
Exactly. And I didn't really know which direction that would take me, but what I started to, so what I think what kind of came to me is that I was just doing, you know, I've been always like a really dynamic person. I love movement, and I love even just this idea of like the erotic, right? Which is like very, I'm noticing now, I'm like, oh my God, I'm on TV. Can I even say that?
Yes,
but just like,
you can.
To me, like coming from like a background of yoga philosophy, it's like, how do we connect to this creative force that like moves through us and wants to move us in all these different ways? And so because I was working with people around like fertility and relationships, I ended up becoming an erotic blueprint coach, which what I feel like I do is I help people find how their life can be more passionate, not just in their relationships, because sometimes it's bringing passion into their work lives, bringing passion into their parenting lives, into what they're doing on the planet and with their work, you know. And there's so many people that are like, I've always wanted to take a dance class. I've always wanted to learn how to paint. And once we start stirring that creative pot, we start to feel alive again. So that's what I feel like I am really passionate about doing, is like holding that space for people and witnessing them and helping them in discovering what that is. Like.
And how did you, from having these curiosities and observations, how did you arrive to erotic blueprint coaching? And like, did you like, had you heard of that term? You thought growing up, what are my options in life? Teacher, fireman, erotic blueprint, you know, like
intimacy coach. Am I allowed to say SEX?
You can. Wait, my spelling's not so strong, so you have to say
well, because another way of saying it is that I was sex coach. Okay. But I feel like that's it's kind of a reductionistic term, right? Because I really do feel like it's like our creative potential in our world, right? We can create babies, or we can create ourselves, and you know, all these different things. How did I land upon that? Well, you know, I kind of mentioned I was like coming from a background of doing, so I also do Mayan abdominal massage. I'm a Mayan abdominal massage teacher. Wow. And so I've transitioned more from working with people one-on-one with that work, because I can only do body work for so long before my body's like, okay. But so now I teach. And so a lot of people that were seeing me for like infertility issues. And everybody was talking about infertility, but nobody was really talking about their sexuality and maybe past traumas in relation to that, or even just conditioning and all the shame and sometimes kind of religious dogmas that affect those aspects of our life. And then someone happened to just invite me, a fellow erotic blueprint coach, gal, Galucci, invited me to this event. And, you know, at first I was very skeptical. I was like, who are these people? What is this? And then I basically fell in love with Zhenya, who created this framework, and they were just such authentic leaders. It was clear that, you know, her whole thing is that she wants erotic liberation for everybody. And what does that mean? It's like, how do we take away all the should nots and the shoulds and really find our, like, what she would, I guess, in this kind of culture, we would call our, like, full-bodied yes. And when I was in that training, they were like, do you want to do this? Do you want to help people do this? And I felt that full body yes, and I was like, you know what, I think I do. And my work has always kind of been like, I used to always joke that I'm like a witch doctor, because when people would call me for mine abdominal work, they would have, like, by then tried everything. And, you know, they're reaching out kind of from this place of like, I need something that is going to help. And so my work has always kind of been on, I don't know, I guess it's like, you can call it the fringe or whatever, but it's like coming back to those places and those roots where there is a little bit of magic and there is a little bit of like, what is this, you know? And I think I take pride in that.
Yeah, so it's because probably things a lot of people think about and feel, but they don't really have a place to find out more, to what to do with it. And so it's something that probably applies to everybody, but most people don't even know it's something you can talk about, you know?
Exactly. Well, that's what I think is so beautiful about the creative process and music and just art in general, is like there is often this kind of like window to look at maybe what's not being looked at, or, you know, it's supposed to in some ways kind of provoke people to feel something, right? I'm just going to keep saying something because the show is called Everybody's Got It.
So what if you can, for those who are not so familiar with what an erotic blueprint is, what could you tell us about it?
So through Zhenya's work with people, it was very somatic. So somatic is like of the body, you know, and so if you think about, you know, a therapeutic approach, it can be very like cerebral, where you're just kind of talking about things, but then sometimes you're saying something, but the body is saying something else, you know? So a somatic approach, you're really looking at what is the body telling you? And so as she was working as a somatic coach, she started to kind of realize that people were wired differently, and when it came specifically to their arousal pathways, but when you think about the word arousal, right, like music can arouse you. It's not like, I want to like encourage people who are listening to broaden the way that they think about this, like our creative potential. And so she kind of blueprintified it to these 5 different expressions. And, you know, it's kind of like the 5 love languages, and maybe some people might look at that and be like, well, I like all the love languages, or I resonate with all of them. So, you know, like any framework, I think there's room for exploration and innovation and like making it yours. But basically she found that some people really needed anticipation and space, and maybe even a little bit of like energetic connection, right? And so she blueprintified those people as people who are energetic, who really need this, how would you even, you know, maybe they want to play with crystals, maybe they want to learn sort of more the spiritual expansion side of relationships and really, you know, intimate relations. She also kind of found that each blueprint, and I'm going to get into the other ones, kind of has like their superpowers and their shadows. So an example would be an energetic person might be so sensitive to just their environment, and they might actually maybe sense what someone's thinking, or if someone's like super stressed out, they might find like, you know, I think I need a little space until we kind of like ground our energy, or you know, or they might need some connection to like, you know, the earth or the elements. So their awareness is very, very broad. And those are some of maybe their shadows, where it can kind of show up in challenging ways in relationships. But their superpowers are that like maybe they read something and they like reach these like blissful orgasmic states just from, eye contact or even like, and the anticipation of touch.
Right.
I think you're a little energetic because you see how excited you got when I said
yes.
that.
No, I know.
This is what I do now. I just go out and like blueprintify people.
You ever in line at Smith's like?
Yes, exactly. I look at what's in people's
yeah.
carts. Like this person must be sensual because they're buying candles, roses, chocolate, and wine, right? So sensual people, they like take their world in through their senses. So those are the people that are gonna like be eating their dinner and like moaning, or like there's the people that want like the chocolate and they want the fancy environment, and they're also gonna have a really hard time if there's like clutter in the house, or they also tend to kind of have a hard time transitioning into like intimate connection when they're like maybe in their work brain still. And from a creative perspective, that can be seen as like, before someone can create something, they might need a little bit of that, like, I'm gonna put on some music and I'm gonna change the lighting up. And so you can, I'm just gonna keep encouraging people to just see it in all these different realms of their life and not just sexuality. People who are blueprinted in the sexual blueprint is kind of, it's nice for them because that's kind of how our culture is blueprinted. So it's kind of what we generally think of when we think of intimate relating. And in some ways it's nice because it's simple and they don't really need anything. Like, I'm down. Whenever.
Sure.
Like right now. Okay.
And then what time is it? It's the perfect time.
Exactly. It's only been twice. I'm ready for number 3. Kinky people are people who really need like some psychological aspect. Maybe it's like power dynamics or like physical sensation can be a part of that. And it can also, the shadow side of that is that there's so much shame related to that. And so sometimes people have needs for years and years and years that they don't speak. And then finally, there's people who are shapeshifters. And those are kind of people who can play in any of those places and they feel comfortable. And I would say their major shadow is that, well, they can change their mind a lot and can be very confusing for their partners because they're like, today I teach abdominal massage and tomorrow I'm on a TV show or whatever, they're just like have so many interests.
So do you work with generally couples together? Is it sometimes with couples you'll spend time with just one and then the other? What's the process? Like, how does it?
Well, so I love working with individuals because I feel like, it's like you can only get so far working in a relationship if people aren't really working on themselves. And there's so much I think that people are like afraid to open up to with their partner, which is like hard to believe because it's like, this is like your best friend, your significant other, yet you've been having these thoughts and feelings for sometimes like 10 years.
And I think people just get sort of used to what the normal way is, and it's just sort of like, that's just how we relate, and then you don't realize that there can go out of the box or something different.
Exactly. Or people are so afraid that if they like admit they want something, that it's like, if I tell someone like, I want whatever, the other person automatically goes into some story here. Oh my God, I'm not enough, or what does this mean? So it's like so a big part of working with couples is like, how do we just like hear each other without going into our own story about what you're telling me means about myself, my life, our relationship, and all those things. So I do love to work with people individually, and often when I do work with couples, I prefer if both people are interested in engaging in that process. Otherwise, it can be a little limiting, but it's all one big experiment, right? So just kind of depends.
So can you give us, obviously without saying names or something, but just kind of an example or just, something, a memorable or an inspiring experience working with people of, maybe where they started and what came up for them and how they maybe grew or just
Oh, there's so many, it's like hard to choose, but like one of my favorite I guess kind of sort of client populations to work with, there's like one that's like very common, people often reach out to me, and then there's one that I'm thinking that's like people who have just like, this person I'm thinking about had like been in a long-term relationship and was kind of transitioning their gender identity and suddenly felt like, I don't even know who I am when it comes to my expression in relationship, whether it's intimate or not.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool, is like really getting to know yourself again, because that happens a lot to people in their lives, right? Like we go through these different phases in our lives, and sometimes we find ourselves and we're like, I don't really know who I am anymore. We have to kind of go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
So I like experiences like that where people's just views are changing, or maybe there's just more of an open, suddenly the aperture is just open and they're like, maybe there's more to life, you know, and I want to experience. So I love those kinds of scenarios. Like one couple I worked with, they moved to Panama because they were like, you know, experiencing so much stress, and like, we're like, oh, I can't, I can't retire for X amount of years. And we were like, well, what do you really want? Like, what are your possibilities? What do you see for your life? You know, and they ended up like doing something they've been wanting to do for years. So it, you know, it can look so different for everybody. I would say another client sort of base that I'm familiar with working with, that I see beautiful things, is often women who are kind of in their later stage of their life, maybe menopausal, and suddenly things just feel really different. And oftentimes in that space, there's like things that maybe they've been like, ways that they've been crossing their own boundaries, or have been okay. I don't know, this is a weird thing to say, but yeah, like they've maybe had their boundaries crossed, and suddenly they're like, I'm not taking any shit anymore. But suddenly like everything becomes a no, and they have to kind of learn to find their yeses again. Is this making sense?
It is. Something that's coming out, I feel like a lot of what you're helping people realize, that their biggest barrier and obstacle is their own self, and that, which might be hard, but then they also then have the power to do something about it.
Yeah, I like that viewpoint of it. I mean, there's so many other barriers, right? Like late stage capitalism and all that, and but
then it's like, what's
absolutely.
our need? Like, we're programmed to think, oh, I need this, this, or this, this. Like, well, really, what really do you need?
Yeah,
like, these
and
people
I think
who moved to Panama probably thought, they were like, oh, I need this lifestyle.
And examining our beliefs, you know, I think is a big part of it. And also being like, well, where did these ideas and thoughts come from of what I should and should not do? That's why, even though I say I'm an erotic blueprint coach, I feel like the coaching work that I do can be for anyone. Like if someone's always wanted to, you know, do some sort of creative project, or maybe they just are not happy in their work, or I think it's really helpful to have someone to just sit and support us in getting really curious about like what.
Did you have, if you think to your childhood, can you think of someone or people in your life who, you know, kind of were inspirations, or kind of you feel them in your work?
Yeah, the first person that came to mind instantly was Madonna.
Nice. Good choice.
Yeah, because she just like was so
yourself.
Audacious. Express yourself. Absolutely. Yeah. I think there was just something so like raw and real and feminine, and sort of that like Kali energy of like, I'm just going to use so much creative force and confidence.
Yeah, it was like feminine but powerful.
Exactly.
Feminine and powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, not passive and like, you know, the way we kind of are blueprinted by society to be passive. Yeah, she's like, no. Yeah, so I'd say Madonna.
And so
100%.
where do you see what you're doing, you know, because your life, it's been an evolution of different outlets. What do you see, where do you see this like going into? Like, do you feel like I'm on my path, this is where it is, or...
I love this question. Well, it's so interesting because, you know, like there's our work and then there's like us, right? And in some ways I feel like they're so intertwined, like especially with people who are self-employed or like, you know, entrepreneurial. But it's interesting. I feel like the more I like embody this work, my work in my own life, you know, I think for me, coming back to like my own creative processes, like I have some creative projects that I've been wanting to birth. And so, one of those things we were talking about earlier, I've had a song circle that I've helped to steward and tend. And before the pandemic, we started recording some of those songs. So I want to like bring some of those projects into fruition. So we're going to start We just picked a name, which is Manantial, which I just love that word. It means wellspring.
Beautiful.
And so we just collect songs, and we're going to start performing and recording some of those songs again, and just kind of getting the community involved. I also really, I'm working on like my own, I'm dancing and painting, and really wanting to take, because I'm so used to kind of doing one-on-one work, but lately I've been doing a lot of retreats, and I just love that particular framework for doing this kind of work, because people's lives can get so full, and I've just been experiencing some really beautiful, transformation is like such a buzzword, but I think when people can step away from that sort of day-to-day grind and just have this like window of time to really ask themselves some of these powerful questions. I really would like to host more retreats and continue to do that, and bring in yoga and music and all of these other things that are really powerful tools for just kind of clearing away all the mental sort of noise to really get to what's real and what's true.
Let me ask you a question. I can tell you've helped many people overcome challenges. Can you share a challenge, something that you have overcome, or something that was a block, or something that was that you I don't know, overcame, or something that was something?
Yeah, in your own life. I love this question. I think one of the biggest things I've alluded to a little bit with like the creative work, because like growing up, I had a pretty intense like home that I grew up in. There was alcoholism and domestic violence, and so I didn't really get to like take dance classes. From when I was a little kid, there were so many videos of me like dancing and singing, but I never really got to do that. And so in my adult life, even though I've had this like desire for creative expression, it's also kind of been this like very vulnerable process for me. So I think that more than anything, that has been huge. And just suddenly, I started belly dancing 3 years ago, and now I'm doing Brazilian Zouk, and I just took a painting class with my mom, who's always wanted to paint. Incredible. And so I'm like doing those artistic processes that for years I was just telling myself it's like too late. It's too late, And it does, it's kind of a funny thing to say, bleed in, but it does kind of spread into other aspects of my life, because as intense as things are in the world, like I really feel so grateful because I get to experience so much joy and connection with the people in my life and community. And I think that comes from, doing this really.
I commend you so much, because especially in these times where we're just bombarded by so much negativity and all the, because it's not like that's not real. There are real things, but there's also so much beauty and so many incredibly inspiring things to do and inspiring people. And I just, commend you for choosing to put your attention to that. But I also thank you for that, because what you do creates ripples in the world. Like whatever we do is contagious, and it spreads. And some people who they think they're being a hero by just, this is all the terrible things happening in the world. And it's like, okay, it's good to be informed, but the light that you are shining and spreading and encouraging others is, we will all feel it. We'll all feel the ripples of it.
Well, you too. I feel like anyone who's like has the strength and resilience to be be doing creative work right now, it's so important.
I think thank you.
And right back at you.
Thank you. Maybe before we go, can you share some, maybe just some words of wisdom of your own, or that someone shared with you that you would like to share with the world?
It's so funny. I wish I had my sticker now, because I have this really great quote, but I'll just say.
This is the one you gave me?
Yeah.
Maybe I have it in my pocket.
As soon as you started just saying what you were saying, the first thing that came to my mind is like reframing joy and pleasure as an act of resistance, and I think that there's been many teachers for me in that way. But I think sometimes when things are intense in the world, it's almost like maybe we feel guilty to experience joy and pleasure.
How could you enjoy yourself now with what's going on in this country?
There's a way to do it all, and like feel it all. And I think it's so important. It's like a radical act of resistance to like.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's my wisdom.
All right. You want to radically resist, do something creative, do something that matters.
Yeah.
Be kind. spread goodness.
Especially to yourself.
Yes, because that's where it starts, right? All right. Well, Zhenya, thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
You are an
much.
inspiration, and I
Yay.
bless all your work and all the
Thank
people you work with, and
you.
just continue on, and look forward to continuing to hear about the wonderful things you do, and blessings to your family.
You too,
And
likewise.
to be continued.
To be continued.
All right.
What up? I'm the one and only Nick Furioustylz, getting on a mic. We got the bass kicking, come on. Finger licking, I split it, I getting all on. Nick Furioustylz been rapping since he was a little tyke. Now I'm driving around, driving on a little bike. Got skills for days, got the RC 505 and it pays. I know a lot of peeps that be using this for building so I can do my thing. That's why I'm able and willing, we keep it moving along. Moving along, moving along, moving along, I keep on moving along like I be singing a song. My name Nick Furious and I'm doing it long term. I'm never giving up till I be dead in a hearse. That's why I keep rapping and I don't like to curse. So, 2 B's in a bucket of cheese. I eat a lot of salsa with a lot of chips. That's how I'm just breaking it down like this because moving along, moving. Keep laying down, you know what I'm saying? It goes. It's all off, but it doesn't really matter, you know what I'm saying? Because yo, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I take dosages of rap in my hypnosis. I'm as big as a hippopotamus bottom gets. That's what I do. I'm not doing it till I'm bottomless. Life is full of crooks and crazy people, but we come here with Seth Hoffman today to keep it nice and regal. And we spitting flows, having a good time. Thanks to the sound people, they so divine. So I'm kicking my rhyme, playing all sorts of keyboard. That's what I do. I do the little ones for me, oh, cause the big one's too heavy, they don't wanna bring it. But I love playing with it. The rolling, so get it go boom, boom, boom. It go boom, 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 boom. Hey yeah, let's go. Hip, hip, ha. It goes hip, ha, hip, ha. It goes hip, ha, hip, hop. It goes hip, hop, hip, hop. It goes hip, hop, hip, hop. It goes hip.
Hip hop hooray. Yo, all I need's a beat. Let me tell you people, I can meet you in the street.
I'm eating sweet treats, cause that's what I do, please. I gotta get down, I'm using the 505 with a funky sound. It goes. It's been a pleasure. Got more songs later, kill it, get it on my ledger. I'm about to spit it, rip flows, here we go. Nick Furioustylz been around a long time, bro. Shout out to Band with No Name and PGA, and don't forget all my homies. Taking it back, cause Nick Furioustylz is on the attack.
Listen up,
People.
Listen up, people. Listen up, people. Keep it creative. Listen up, people. Keep it creative and don't let the powers that be debase you.
We are here with Nick Furioustylz. Nick, what a pleasure. We were just talking. We go way back from, I believe, like '02, from O'Neill's to working in a school together. Tell us just a little bit, for those who don't know you, a little bit about what you do and your story and the journey which has led you to this moment.
Well, wow, it was very profound. Yes, we met when you were playing with Jacob, Seth and Jacob, all these years ago. I was a server, and then come to work with this guy. My journey's been one of a continuous struggle to try to find myself, but through music and art, I've found more of myself than I ever thought I kind of would find.
Yeah.
Growing up kind of like a loner kid, but I did a lot of making tapes. Maybe you've heard of these things. They were called cassettes back in the day. Recording myself, doing, voices and making songs.
And this is like starting from what
This
age?
is like I'm 11, 10, 11, 12 years old. I'm in my room with my keyboard. I mean, I didn't have a lot of friends, and I was also very pent up, so I would just find myself alone. But that creative process really kind of grew out of that sort of that need to create. It wasn't like I was hanging out with imaginary characters. They were all real characters, but I imagined them. Yeah. And through that, I got into music. I always loved music. I played the clarinet when I was from like 3rd grade till 9th grade. All-state honor band. That's right.
Well
93, 90, or
do you still
90,
have a
89,
clarinet?
90. I still have the clarinet. I still play it on some of my songs.
Right on.
It's not exactly the most profound instrument in terms of like adding it into the sound of it. It's very unique, but I still play a little. I do it. But anyway, so found hip hop at some point in my life. It just the idea that I didn't have to be a singer, but that I could still create, because I loved words. Like I've always been a word guy. Used to read the dictionary, the thesaurus, just flip through them, and just loved the idea of words. So started to build with people eventually. My brother Oliver and our friend Ben Course. Big ups to my homie from. Ben was a rapper in this town for many years. Most of my friends all had families and decided to grow up and do the whole. I'm not saying that.
Traders.
I'll see them at Trader Joe's.
Yes.
Buying their trader fish. But no, I don't know. So music has been around, man. It's been a part of my life. I'm thankful for hip hop. And when I say hip hop, I mean the art form. I mean the actual, what hip hop was intended to be. Now, of course, I'm an outside observer getting involved in what was once an urban sort of art form. But I respect the crap out of it. I respect everything about what the golden age, which is our crew from here. Big ups to Bless Infinite, big ups to Awkward Ackright and Epic Beats. We were the products of the golden age, and that whole project is because we grew up in the 90s. And so 90s hip hop is what shaped us.
So when you were at that age, when that was out, that was your
and everybody was unique,
music.
And the females were also as good as the Queen Latifahs, the Moni Loves. They just happened to have boobs, but they weren't just women rappers. They were rappers, and they happened to be female. And there was so much consciousness. And so many great, like the De La Souls and the Jungle Brothers, and like a lot of the conscious hip hop. I started out listening to like Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince and like really clean hip hop, and then I found out about Public Enemy, and I put this on. And it was like I'm 12 years old in my room going, they don't like white people at all. I'm freaking out. I'm like, seriously, it was very scary. It was very loud. It was very in your face, very visceral. Very.
So when you say,
shift.
You were drawn to it, but
I was like
afraid of it,
or
what?
I was afraid of it because it was new from like the bubblegum rap, Fresh Prince stuff to. And then I got at the NWA Straight Outta Compton tape, and I'm in my room like, what crazy mother named whoa, and it just became something about it.
And did you imagine at that time?
No.
Perform. So you weren't at that time like, there's a performer in me that needs to come out.
Maybe so, but I just liked it because it was different. But then once I got into started writing songs and doing stuff like more so, I wasn't really good at rapping. I mean, it's a skill you have to build like anything else. Those 10,000 hours I've spent times probably 10 at this point. So. And I'm grateful for that. But eventually I started getting into more of the conscious hip hop. Like, we'll say this, the Dr. Dre's, the first Chronic album, I was in high school, blew me away. It was so new, it was so different. Gangster, but it was just a storytelling that was going on. And then I thought about Wu-Tang about a year later, and it just entered the 36 chambers and went, that's when I said, there's a performer. These guys are weird. They're saying off-kilter things. It's not just this, I rap and I say bat, I rap and I use hat. It's not just a simple rudimentary stuff. It's very deep. So
Yeah.
anyway, I just have always been through it, and I've worked with so many great people in Albuquerque, and I have never really left.
Can you
since
tell
high
us a
school,
little
so.
bit about your path, like your first performance, like your first bands, and like some of the evolution to like the bands you're playing with now?
What I can remember, because it's been a long life, but thank you. So, well, I started to do it for like in college. I was in a fraternity, never made it, but I was pledging, and I said, we're gonna have a party, and I said, I want to write a party rap. So it was the first. I had written some songs in high school. They were very like, I was just copying other rappers at this time. I was rapping about other things I heard, and kind of it wasn't really mine. And so this is my first rap I wrote. It was just about having a good party and a jam. It was basically about the night. This
And
was
was
like
this
in 96.
this is in New Mexico?
This
or
is
where
in
are we?
New Mexico at
Albuquerque.
UNM in 96, and I don't indulge in or support fraternities, but at the time, I was naive.
Yeah.
Got to perform, got a decent enough response that I'm like, that's when I got bit by the bug.
Okay,
It was
okay.
like, dude,
Like,
I
this
can do
feels
this.
right.
I like attention. I
Yeah.
can do this. I can be better. And making people feel something.
Yeah.
And so then I left the fraternity. I left and lived my life and did a lot of just like learning. And then I started like going to parties. First show I ever did was this woman named Louisa. She did these shows. It was like called Bogey's Joint, and then it was called the Zodiac. But it was a bar up on Upper Central that's not even there anymore. I performed with Scarab from the Living Legends. I'd never even met him. He came here and he heard me and he was like, man, you're really good. And this was a man that was at that point in the pinnacle of underground hip hop. Wow. And I was like some dude who never actually performed at a real show.
Wow.
And I'm like, dude. So it just kept going, and I just kept moving it. And then eventually I started working with bands like the People's Republic, which had the Lady Say What involved, and Mike Gertis, and some, my friend Shay Longy, and even Mike Hautemio, like a lot of these great players. And then I started learning about how to play in a band.
Yeah.
Or with a group, because to me, music is so much fun when you're collaborating.
Yeah.
And of course, as an MC, I had to learn how to shut up, because rappers just are all, see, here I go, I'm not even, but they always want to say, get on, do what I say. And you're like, all right, maybe sometimes learning that less is more has been a great influence for me. So did that, then worked with several producers, and worked with Band With No Name, BNN, for almost 8 years before we put the hat up, and then came back again, and Products of the Golden Age. I mean, I've done a lot of collaborations. I tend to want to collaborate because I'm good by myself, but I think, it's great when you can put it together with something or another person, especially with vocals. And I love collaborating with females a lot. That male, female, that masculine, feminine, and again, I'm not trying to draw it like it's exactly, because of course we live in 2025. The spectrum is different, but I'm just saying that the softness and the harshness that kind of go with that back and forth is lovely to me and very poetic. So I've just been blessed to have a lot of people, and support with beats and with giving me time to, something to work on. Yeah. Believing in me, performed a lot. But I'm getting older now, so I've started to produce more of my own stuff. Like if you go to my channel, you'll see 5 different or 6 different EPs of 6 tracks of all just instrumental music that I make now on my looper, et cetera, et cetera. So the journey continues, though.
Yes, I remember one of the first times I saw you perform live. This must have been many years ago, but I was just amazed at the energy that you have. I mean,
thank you.
If someone first meets you, you're like, I wouldn't imagine this guy's gonna be jumping all over you. I remember thinking like, this guy's like Superman. This guy's like Superman up here.
Yeah, it was fun.
And as we were kind of, as I was saying with Zhenya, how things are contagious.
Yes.
I felt, and I could see the room. And there's different times. Sometimes people are feeling it, sometimes they're not. But at that particular one, I think it was at some gallery space. I'm not sure exactly where, but the room was just alive, and I was like, look what this guy is creating.
That's nice. That's what you hope for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you do it as a musician too. But it's a different kind of. We're very different people as we approach our art. Matter of fact, I forgot to mention, we were also at the first or second, like the very, very beginnings of Three-Sided Hole.
Is that right?
Together, we performed, and I was with Ancient Aliens. Big ups to Oliver and Ben again. And this was the first time I was like, perform in a tent with some hippies while you're, not yourself.
Yes, no, I know.
And it was like,
there was a lot of fun guys there.
There was, and you know what? Big ups to Rev and some of the great people who put these things together, and really kind of Jonathan with his crazy hot air balloon. I was dating a woman named Spring Beavers at the time, and her family is connected to that whole Sky House or whatever, like the Allen
Sky
family.
Island,
and they were just instrumental in getting me out of like this like very, very sort of centered view of like hip hop, and trying to be like one of these like young kids, like grabbing your crotch and wearing the backpack, and then it progressed into more of like, hey, this can be artistic. This can be beautiful. This doesn't have to always be about like my anger or my point. It can be more about making people laugh or have fun. So getting that energy is amazing, but I also didn't do it right for many years. Like I wasn't aware of my own energy and how to channel it. So yeah, I really appreciate that. But I think I overdid a lot. And so sometimes you turn people away.
And how does that reflection, like when did you come to,
when did I come around?
Would you or not so much how you came around, but how do you were you even aware, like, oh, that's not what I want to be putting out there? I
wasn't aware. I mean, until I became aware. It's one of those things.
Did someone tell you? Were you watching a video? Because some people never self-reflect.
No, it's true, and I appreciate that because honestly, I don't want to hurt people's feelings, and I don't want to I'm not, phobic of any kind. But when you as a young kid, I did a show with this gentleman named John Z.D., who I'd never met, but he's like a legend in the UK. And my friend DJ Watasso said, hey, we're going to open up for him. This was in like 2004, right before George Bush's war for independence of Iraq. And that worked out for them really good, by the way. And I'm on stage, and I'm just trying to be, very cool and rip my shirt. Like, that's the thing. But then I said something about, F George Bush. He's a homophobic slur. He's a F word. And I was just saying it like I don't like him. Yeah. But in the crowd was a large group of lesbians and of course a lot of other people who were just gay or straight. But this woman, and she was actually on KONM for years. I forget her name at this point. She held a grudge. She was like, how dare he? And I was oblivious to the words I said and how they affected people. I didn't even know. Yeah. Years later, I'm on the Fresh show on KONM with this gentleman who did like a bi-friendly kind of a radio show, and it was like on Friday night or something. And my friend X24 and I were on, and this woman calls in and says, how dare you have him on your show? And then all of a sudden he's like, hands me the phone, and she sets me fully straight. Like, you don't realize what you said and how it hurt me. And like, it's like I said, forget George Bush, he's a Nick Fury or whatever. And I'm like, it really took that slap upside the head to kind of be like, and this, she's like got a voodoo doll. I mean, like she's got a poem about how I was, how this person who she hates. Now, I just think that I try to avoid that these days. I'm not trying to be like, I want to be more centered in how I approach the energy shift. And so I don't want to offend people. And it wasn't even meant to offend, but you got to realize what you say or do, it's gonna ripple. Yeah.
And let me ask you, because I know you are someone who's very socially aware, and a lot of things have been going on in this country and world for a while. I mean, I remember before this was what people were talking about. I remember you talking about some of these things.
I've been talking about these things for a long time.
So my question is knowing that because I feel like what happens is so many people just get divided. They choose sides, and like, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. How do you deal with that? How do you approach that with people and then just in your life?
Dang good question. Awesome show. Everyone should share this and watch it. And obviously Seth's also a musical performer, so check out his shows, which you need to tell me when you're doing your next thing.
Will do, yeah.
So I think that it's just, again, it's one of those things you learn over time. It's like being diplomatic. Like I've always had a way with people, but I never knew how to have a way with myself. Like it's like sometimes less is more. Sometimes you kind of but in the past, I was fully on one side, fully on the mountaintop screaming, and
these are the good guys, these are the bad guys.
And this is, of course, in 1996 through, let's say 2015, like in a lot of those years. It didn't change anything. It didn't help anything. It didn't change anything. And I think that in the end, as much as I had good intentions, it's just like they go by the wayside when you're not rooted in what you need to be rooted in. So I had to learn, like, look, the world is a spectrum. People are going to do all these things. It's hard. I don't want to pick a side because there's good people who voted this way and voted that way, and bad people.
100%.
It's not all one way or the other. 100%. So, and that's been better for my musical journey. The less that I get and let other people do what they do. Like trying not to have all the control, like because I'm a control freak, and I think it's got to get done my way. And let's face it, a lot of people don't pull their weight. They don't do what they say. They don't get their stuff done. They leave it hanging. Eventually, you become a frustrated person. I've been waiting for a year for that thing from you. Yeah. But you can't change people. So at this point, and I think Zhenya talked about it on her segment. It's just like, I don't know, like you just have to take it one step at a time and figure out where you are, where you need to be, and how to approach something with a little bit of just being gentle.
Yeah, and if you have something to say, a lot of times people say, well, maybe I didn't say it loud enough, but a lot of times if your message, if it's like if you say one word and then suddenly the person maybe has shut down and then
That's it.
And so the thing, like there's kind of, I guess, in art, in your performing, but there's an art in communicating. How do I say something so this person can receive this message and not just shut down? You know?
And that's a good, and again, even just more further, I've learned to mask it in humor and tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Is instead of just coming right out and saying it, because you could say it in a way that people aren't going to like, because it's all about, you say it one way, they're initially wired to that being offended, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's important, is to, how do you approach it in a way that makes it palatable for someone else?
Yeah.
And really, humor is a good way. I think that's why comedians, I think, are loved by all sides of, like, Republicans and Democrats alike, and they can all go to the show and laugh at because there's a lot of similarities in what we think is funny.
Yes, and I've noticed with some comedians, just their genius and how they can say things to kind of, you're not really even sure what side they're on. They'll kind of get both sides, but
that's right.
Everyone is hearing it, which is such an art.
That's important, because nowadays you're never going to please. And it never helped me when I was all like one gung. The one side I was on didn't love me more than the other. It was just a lot of anger and like a lot of just stuff I had to get out. But music is a sacred, I believe, and a beautiful art. It's something that we have the ability to create vibration. To me, it's like we're not superheroes, like we're saving the day, but we're like the last bastion of people. And now with AI and all this, why would you want to use an AI program to create your music when creating the music in and of itself is the beauty and the joy of doing it? It's like I could go on ChatGPT and like write me a rap about how Seth Hoffman has nice eyes, and it will spit out some decent bars. But why would I would want to stare into your eyes and write it myself.
Yes. Yeah. I feel it's like in that movie Jurassic Park. There's the line. These like people got so caught up could we do it? They didn't think should we do it? And it's with this AI. It's like that is really cool, but
should we?
Who is that helping? Is it better?
It's not better, but it's what we do as the community people that we are. Is we keep trying to teach the youth, like, hey, this is how I got here. This is how I found my path to making art and to finding my sanity. Because I love doing film and I do a little stand up and I do a lot of this and that, but like creating music and performing and playing and writing, and it's kind of like I play the drums now, and I've gotten better on the keys, all because I've had to push myself to do it, because no one's around and I can't rely. I'm not waiting, especially since COVID. I'm like, I put out like almost 50 some works, that are registered through ASCAP since COVID started. I really took it seriously, and I do all my own artwork. I do in terms of, I just make sure it's something that I own. I don't sample on my works. I'm using everything's me from scratch. I do a lot of beatboxes laced with drums underneath. So you'll get like, actual drums from the keyboard, but then a little bit of beatbox on top, mixed it in, blended, so it gives it a little nice flair. But then I don't got to worry about it. It's my stuff. So.
Let me ask you this question: when you're not creating music or videos or all these, what does Nick do to have a good time, to relax, or what in your spare time when you're not doing? Or is there not? Or is there no? Is this what you do all the time? What's something that maybe we don't know about you? Like, what I really like to do, or.
Well, I definitely love nature. I have two dogs, little Freddie Fredrickson and big old Doc Brown the hound, and then I have a cat. So I take the dogs out every day without fail. I love to spend time with them, get them to the park, let them run around, throw the ball for the big guy, be out in the sun. I like to ride my bike when I'm feeling it, when my knees aren't hurting. I do like to work. I work as a server bartender. I like interacting with people. I've been back to throwing shows, which I like, curating shows. So I got my New Mexico Premier Variety Showcase, which was a staple for a couple years, and we kind of took a break. We're coming back in March. We'll be at Juneau downtown. It's going to be 4 to 6 on the 23rd, Sunday the 23rd. All ages, no cover. And then we're doing April as well. So I like organizing events.
Yes.
I like getting people together.
Yes.
I like playing music. I'm going to be having a jam with my group, The Sex Life of Electronics, and we're going to do our debut.
That's the name of
That's
your
the
group?
name of my
Beautiful.
this new collaboration with two other gentlemen. Where everything's just chords connected, MIDIs, and we're doing drum machines and loopers and effects, and it's pretty neat. My friend Crispy, who's a member of FurCat, if you remember, you probably know Chris. If not, you need to know him. And my friend Andrew. And so this is fun because I'm going to go home and have a jam later. That is so much fun. I love to play music. It gets me better at things. So the simple things. I just like to be mellow and relax. And I mean, I used to like to go out and to all the angles of the night and hang out like a vampire and be stupid and just like, but I'm getting too old and life's too short to waste.
Yes. can we manifest, what is your future living into? What would just be like, if we could set things, what would be in an ideal world for your day-to-day, whether that involves what sustains you financially, but just how you get to create can we paint a picture of what your life, and I mean a lot of ways what you're doing right now.
Happy little accidents. Well, no, and I like those literally happy little accidents in the sense that life, you stumble in to moments that are like, so that's why you can't plan everything. Sometimes you're like, man, you got to have an itinerary, but sometimes, oh my God, I met this random person this random day, and now we're best buddies, or we went to we met up in Tokyo. Like, I don't know, things just happen. Yeah. So I don't ever want to take away from the whim of the day. I'm a very big like energy, but I would, if I could be a voice actor, if I could get up every day, go voice a couple scripts or do some work in my studio, have a cup of tea, get up, that would be a great way to sustain my financial self.
Yes.
My body's getting older, and I love moving around, but like serving tables and stuff, I'm 47, so how long do I want to do that? Not forever. So I would love to sustain with doing, I love being a vocal actor. It's a lot of fun. I do like acting too, but it's like, it's a lot of work and time. So I think that would be it. And then be able to create when I feel it.
So with the music, not instead of it.
Not instead of it,
but
maybe having that free
like,
time, and I'm home, so I'm like, hey, I have something to do right now, and I can actually do it when I have the energy versus, well, I got to put that off because I got to work later. And so, but I think right now, as much as the world is going through its courses, I do have a lot of positivity for my future. I've booked myself a trip to Peru coming up later this week.
Could just a little bit about what's in store for this?
A bit about first of all, going alone and traveling by myself to have those self-effacing moments. That
anything specific that you're doing?
Ayahuasca ceremony. I'm very interested in having a shaman-led. Yes. I'm 47, like I said, so I'm hitting that midlife, and I want to know what's next for me, because I woke up one day at the beginning of the year and I said, look, I don't even have anything to really be excited about. Like, what am I wasn't doing any shows. Now I've got some shows on the books. Things start moving. So I'm really excited also to see Machu Picchu, to see,
incredible. When are you going? When is this happening?
It's in October sometime. So I'm going to be traveling back and forth across the country and just doing it by myself to see where the whim takes me.
Beautiful.
And that I hope to really, just to clear the head, to get away from the States, 10 days or so, just out of this element. I'm not bringing a friend. I'm not going to be on my phone. I'm not going to party or, meet a lady or something. I want to just go to be in the moment and have my journal. And I think it will help maybe to open up some of what my life needs to be. Because, you change when you get older.
Well, maybe when you come back from that, I would love to maybe have you on again and hear about that.
And hopefully we'll have Seth out to one of our showcases one of these days. And so.
All right. Well, before we go on, if we could leave us just with some closing words. A lot of people are just feeling so much heaviness in the world, so much division. Maybe you could just send us off with some positive, encouraging words from Nick.
Yes, positive, encouraging work. Just don't stress too much about what others are thinking about you. Just worry about what you need for yourself and focus on what it is. Don't cater to other people. Don't make music or art specifically to get an audience. Make it for you. Do it because you love it. Live every day because you want to. Get up with a smile. And literally what changed my life is saying for 3 weeks to a month this litany of things about money. Like I'm a handsome man. I got a lot of money. I'm rich. I'm grace. I'm blessed. And all those things, you come up with your own litany and you say it all the time. It's become true. I don't stress about money these days. I mean, sure, we all do, but just create your own reality. How's that?
Beautiful, beautiful. All right.
Man,
Nick, you're an inspiration. Blessings on your travels, on all your upcoming shows. Thanks. And your introspection is inspiring, and just blessings to all you're doing, and stay strong.
Same here, dude. I love your show, and I hope that it's still going on, and when next year and continuing to.
Well, God willing, it's all in the hands of.
Everybody's got something, though.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks for being with us today. Blessings to all of you, and you got something, and live it. Look forward to something exciting, and all the best to you. Thank you.
Yo. Nick Furioustylz.
Song is called Get Up.
Get up.
Come on, let's go. Get up. Yeah. A surefire way to stay super motivated is do some dance moves and be crazy animated. Find a groove that proves to be highly innovative, that causes sensations. There's three kinds of tasty. At first, be patient, warm it up with a stretch, then feel the effects when everything connects. Tingling, yes. Oh, please be ready to sesh. The music more or less just tends to finesse. Next, reach both your arms up real high, all the way damn up like you reaching for the sky. After you done this, what I want you to do is shake it up and act damn foolish. Get up, get your body moving. Come on, everybody, we just gotta do this. Get up, put your back into it and shake that ass to the funky music. Get up, get your body moving. Come on, everybody, get into the movement. Get up, put your back into it and shake that booty to some groovy. Do the body Friday, the sexy Sunday, the manic Monday. Yeah, well, that's my fun day. I strut about like a model on the runway. Wobble, but there ain't no gunplay. Mosh round the clock, don't stop the milkshake. There is no tomorrow, next week, or someday. This is the time, so take a leap of faith. Follow your instinct. We'll show you the way. I mean, hell, all I can say is that I hope you'll engage in stray from the same old lame routine. Whoop, there it is, let your body rock. I'm popping off like a bra down in Mardi Gras. Come on, everybody, get your body moving. Come on, everybody, we just gotta do this. Get up, that boot, get your back into it and shake that ass to the funky music. Get up, let your body move it. Come on, everybody, get into the movement. Get up, work that booty. Make a splash with the force of a tidal wave. Wiggle that ass and shake that thing. Spaz out till you pass out, that's the rage. Succumb to the drums, become audio slave. The rhythm, it needs you, it feeds you again. And again it seduces and leads you back in. So spin, baby, spin like a tornado. Twerk it, work it, so hot it's volcano. Get up. Furioustylz, thank you so much for having me.